Hello everybody, my name is Kara, and today I'm here with my TBR video for Latinx Book Bingo and for Latinx-a-thon. So there are two wonderful readathons coming up that are meant to celebrate books by Latinx authors and books with Latinx characters. The challenges are also very overlappable, so it is totally possible to read books that count for both sets of challenges, or if you are not really into reading challenges, if you just read one book that was written by a Latinx author or that features Latinx characters, then you have succeeded at the readathon. So Latinx Book Bingo runs for all of Hispanic Heritage Month, that is September 15th through October 15th, and it is being hosted by Ali from Ali M Books, Paula from Paula Mancera, and Sophia from Sophia in Bookland. I will put all of the details, of course, for their channels or their blogs or all of the information about the readathons in the description box. Latinx-a-thon runs from September 22nd through September 29th, and it is also being hosted by some fabulously talented ladies. So we have Andrea from Book Ramble, Jocelyn from Yogi with a Book, Yvette from Book Cave, and Priscilla from Bookie Charm. I have a lot of books chosen for this TBR. As per usual, I am not planning on necessarily being able to finish all of them. That would be great, but I pretty much just want to give myself lots of options and see what I'm in the mood for. So I'm going to start with the books that I have picked out to match up with the Latinx Book Bingo challenges. So the first option on my list is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sanz. This book would count for the challenges to read a contemporary or romance book, and it would also count for the male-male romance prompt. I have still not read a book by this author, and I have heard nothing but glowing and wonderful things, and I have especially heard that this book has really beautiful family dynamics and relationships, and that it has a beautifully written romantic relationship, and that the writing itself is also just really lovely, so I'm really looking forward to finally reading something by this author. Next is The Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson. This is the first book in a trilogy. This would count for the science fiction or fantasy prompt and for the fat representation prompt. Now, I couldn't actually tell for sure if the inspiration for this book was Spanish or if it was from a Latin American country. But when I looked it up, I did find this book on some lists of Latinx books, or like books with Latinx characters, so I am tentatively going to count this one, but if I'm wrong then I will probably have to pick something else, but I have been meaning to get to this for a long time. I've heard kind of mixed things about this book recently, but it sounds like something I would enjoy, so we'll see what happens. For my free space, I will be choosing Wings of Fire, the Dragonette Prophecy by Tui T. Sutherland, and this is a really short book, and all of the main characters are dragons, and I think there's like a war between the dragons or something. I've heard really good things about these books from Jordan, from the Jordan journals, and I'm really curious. And the author is actually Venezuelan, which I did not know until I was looking for books to choose for this readathon. Next, I have a couple of different options for the magical realism prompt, and they are from an author that I am very excited to get to, and they are Wild Beauty and When the Moon Was Ours, both by Anna Marie McLemore. I believe Wild Beauty has kind of a like historical fiction or like time travel element, sort of. I think it's about this family of women who all live, like, they take care of this garden, but if they ever fall in love, I think something bad happens to the person they're in love with, and then one day a mysterious or magical boy from the past just like materializes in their garden. I could be completely wrong. I've kind of been avoiding detailed reviews or summaries because I really just want to go in blind to this book, but I'm excited for that. And then When the Moon Was Ours, it takes place in a town where I believe the female character has roses that grow out of her wrists, and the male character paints moons or hangs moons from the sky or something. And in addition to fulfilling the magical realism prompt, this book would also fulfill the trans main character prompt, because I believe that one of the main characters is a trans man. Next, I have one of Ali's favorite books, and I'm really excited to get to this one. I've been saying about all of these, I can just stop saying that. But that is Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. This is a like urban fantasy-ish kind of book where the main character Alex is a bruja, and on her birthday she makes the wish to take her powers away because she's tired of them, she doesn't want to be a witch, and she accidentally wishes all of her family into this sort of land of the dead, or land between life and death. And like I said, Ali just loves this book, and this is another one that counts for a lot of prompts. It features bisexual main character, a female-female romance, and it would also, I think, count as on-cover representation. Next, I have Esperanza Rising by Pam Munoz Ryan. So I really love one of this author's other books called Becoming Naomi Leon. That is one of my favorite books of all time, and I read this one when I was younger, and I remembered liking it, but I didn't like it as much as Becoming Naomi Leon, so I didn't reread it very often. I think we actually got rid of our old copy. So I picked it up again, and I am really excited to reread this one. I think I'm going to be able to appreciate it a lot more now that I'm older, and this counts for the challenges of a refugee/immigrant story, and also for historical fiction. So I'm really excited to rediscover this one, and I have a feeling I'm going to enjoy it even more than I did when I was younger. And finally, covering the prompts for a classic Latinx author and poetry, I have Love Poems by Pablo Neruda. I read a few of his poems in, was it high school or college Spanish class? But I don't remember which one, but I really enjoyed them, and as kind of seems to happen with me in poetry, I just never picked up any of his other work, so this is the perfect opportunity to do that, and this edition actually has the Spanish right next to the English text. So my Spanish is unfortunately very rusty, so I think it's going to be really nice as a refresher while also being able to get the full text in English as well, so I can make sure I know what's going on, because as I said, my Spanish is not where it should be. So moving into the 5 challenges for Latinxathon, challenge number 1 is voices. Read a book featuring an Indigenous or Afro-Latinx main character, or written by an Indigenous or Afro-Latinx author. And for that one, I will be reading Certain Dark Things by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. This book comes highly recommended from Jocelyn and Yvette and Priscilla, I believe. They all read that book at some point and talked about how much they enjoyed it, so I'm really looking forward to it. And that book is an urban fantasy featuring, I think, Aztec-inspired vampires, or that kind of setting, so I'm really looking forward to that. And my request should be coming in from my library any day now. Number 2 is Pride. Read a book featuring a queer Latinx main character or written by a queer Latinx author. And I have several options for that would count. Definitely Aristotle and Dante, definitely the 2 Anna Marie McLemore books, and there might be some others in the stack too, but I will definitely be covered for that one. Number 3 is Roots. Read a translated book or a book featuring more than one language. For example, a book with a bilingual main character. Bonus points if it is not in italics, according to the hosts. And I have a couple books that would actually work for that depending on how I interpret it. I of course have the Pablo Neruda poems, which have the Spanish and the English. And if I'm remembering correctly, Esperanza Rising also, I think, has some Spanish in it. Okay, it looks like it is italicized, but there is still Spanish in this book, so either of these would work. Number 4 is Heritage. Read a book written by an author from a non-Spanish speaking Latin American country or heritage. And finally, number 5 is Latinidad. Read the group book Itza by Rios de la Luz. Now the last 2 I read together because I don't actually have books picked out and ready for those. Obviously one is the group book, so I wouldn't have to find one to pick. I'm not quite sure if I'll be getting a hold of those in time for the readathon. All 5 of those are really great challenges. Again, they are very easy to overlap, and if you're not into the challenges, you can also just read any book by a Latinx author or featuring Latinx characters, hopefully both, and that will count for participating in either of these readathons. Okay everybody, so those are all of the books I have tentatively on my TBR for these 2 readathons. I am so looking forward to them. I think the concept behind these is just so wonderful, and the fact that both groups of hosts are some of my favorite booktubers ever doesn't hurt either. I love how supportive both groups of hosts are being about each other's readathon. I just think this is just such a wonderful opportunity to shine a light on some literature that doesn't get as much attention as it deserves. Please let me know if you guys are participating in either or both of these readathons and what you guys are planning to read. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!